basis.
All right. What is a non-recourse mortgage and what is a recourse mortgage, and how do you tell the difference? And also then, what's the difference for tax reporting?
Well, legally speaking, a non-recourse mortgage means simply that the property is the only recourse for the lender. So if there's a default or the foreclosure, getting the property is how it works. And in most cases, in a residential situation, it ends up being like that in California. We said the foreclosure results in a extinction of the loan.
Right.
A recourse loan, which technically all California loans are recourse except for a few, the purchase money loans for principal residents. That is a concept where the lender can get the property and also get a lawsuit or get other collection from other borrower resources. That will happen most likely in a commercial situation where there's been personal guarantees or those types of things. Well, although in some occasions it happens with the residential. Mm-hmm. Now, how do you tell a difference? Number one, you have to read the paperwork. If you can't read it, you got to hire a lawyer or an accountant to read the paperwork. You will get notice on a 1099. The 1099-C report, there is a checkbox, line 5. It says recourse or non-recourse.
Right.
The lender will tell you. Don't necessarily trust it,
mm-hmm.
because it may, well, number one, it may not be accurate, and number two, the tax result that you get may not be accurate, and it may be disfavorable.
Uh-huh.
So for tax purposes, the recourse loan, it could be favorable, but it's considered as though you sold the property for the loan amount.
Right.
The non-recourse loan creates something called cancellation of indebtedness, the CODI, C-O-D-I, and that could be ordinary income.
Well, that's the recourse, right? So you get the ordinary income with the recourse.
Right.
And then the non-recourse.
So let me give you a quick example. The loan is $400, recourse.
Yes.
The property value is $300.
Yes.
And there's a foreclosure.
Right.
The 100 difference, the 400 minus the 300, that's cancellation of debt income. That's ordinary income.
Right.
And there are some exclusions. We don't have time to go through that, but there are some exclusions and so forth for that. And they're statutory in nature, and they're all based on facts. Mm-hmm. Anybody facing this type of situation that's going through this analysis should include a tax analysis as well with it. And there is a right and wrong answer. There's not speculation here. You have all the facts ahead of you, and you can make a judgment about whether it's recourse or non-recourse, whether you have this CODI or not, etc.
Yeah. But also, like you said, so sometimes you can tell by the paperwork. That's usually more in the case of a commercial loan. Whereas,
well, it would be true also in a residential loan. There is a note. You can read the note and see what the rights and remedies are of the lender, and that gives you the indication whether it's recourse or non-recourse.
But like if it relates to the purchase of a residence,
correct,
then that sort of supersedes.
That's correct. So there's a rule in California called CCP 580B, and that says that any loan that's used to buy a residence that's a principal dwelling mm-hmm. is non-recourse. That the lender's only remedy is to take the property, and any deficiency is exonerated forever.
Right.
So that makes it very important. Anybody who's refied their loan does not have the protection anymore.
Right.
It's pretty interesting.
So that's a big thing that people, in many cases, they haven't been aware of. I mean, refi has been a hot area. Both of us, are involved in that mortgage market to some degree. And so many times people aren't aware that when they're refinancing their purchase money mortgage, that they're actually maybe giving up some rights.
That's correct. They're giving up those rights.
Yeah. All right. Well, time is going. Let's see here. What is a judicial foreclosure? What is a non-judicial foreclosure?
The distinction between a judicial and non-judicial, judicial foreclosure doesn't happen a whole lot in residential setting. Judicial foreclosure is where the lender actually files a lawsuit in Superior Court in California, and they're suing on the note. There's a loan is issued, and there's a promissory note. I owe you $400,000.
Right.
There's a deed of trust. That's the mortgage. That says if I don't pay, the property is collateral. So the lender says, I want the whole 400, and then that's really what the judicial foreclosure is all about. And the lender, through that process, can not only get the property but also get a judgment for the excess. So if let's say the loan's worth 400 and the house is worth 280, there's a 120 deficiency. The 120 Now the lender can actually go get other assets from the stock account, the cash, that kind of thing. Now, by contrast, the non-judicial foreclosure is non-court proceeding. That's that simple 3-month plus 21-day procedure that we said. It's very fast, very cheap, works very well, but the key distinction for the lender is they will not be able to go get that $120,000 in my example. That $120,000 is forever extinguished. So the lender makes that call. The borrower cannot choose. Sometimes the lender actually does both, because they can go get some rents or they can get some other things. They do it what they call in parallel. So, but most often you'll see non-judicial in the residential setting.
Okay. Again, our time is rapidly coming up here, but a little highlight: are all mortgages for principal residences eligible for exclusion under the Mortgage Forgiveness Debt Relief Act, the federal, act for principal residences and so forth? And has California conformed?
Well, California has conformed to that rule. The rule is found at Code Section 108A1E for those junkies out there, those tax junkies.
Okay.
And it says basically that if you get an acquisition debt, which is similar to the acquisition debt we use for computing home mortgage interest, up to $2 million, you can get a, and that loan is forgiven. You get exclusion from the CODI, C-O-D-I.
Yeah, the cancellation of debt. But not all debts actually qualify.
No, just because it's secured by the property doesn't mean that. And for example, the cash out refi, you had an original loan for $3 million, you took a new loan for $400,000, you got that $100,000 to pay bills or to take a vacation. The $100,000 is not eligible for that, and in effect, that's what you pay taxes on the vacation money. Is what it really amounts to.
Okay. I'm hesitant, but I'm going to just bring up this question anyway. What kind of documentation should homeowners keep that have a loan modification, short sale, or foreclosure? And we do have just a brief time. But
what should they keep? Well, I would say keep everything, and you could scan everything, and then you have it on a thumbnail drive, right? I mean, so that's kind of the best.
Well, you have to have the computer. But the reason why I brought up the question is sometimes you're trying to prove insolvency and other things, and I found that people, in many cases, keep very poor records.
Right.
They pay their credit card bills and they throw them away. And so that's just unwise to do. And particularly when you're going through these things, I'd say keep really all of your documents.
I think before you think about getting rid of stuff, that's a call to your accountant.
Yeah, yeah. And see an accountant or an attorney early.
Early is better than later.
That will help an awful lot.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I think we're about out of time. So I think I'm just going to thank you very much for meeting with me again and talking a little bit about this, because this is something that people are wrestling with right now, as we both know. So folks, get legal advice, get tax advice related to this. And
you can call me. I mean, I've been doing this a lot, and I've got it sort of wired, and I've got kind of the questions and answers, sort of figured out. So people certainly can call me if they want.
So Scott's prepared. I also help a lot of people with this. So we'll see you next time on Financial Insider Weekly.